the challenges of Filipina-led startups when seeking funding? What requirements do Filipina founders need to fulfill to qualify for funding programs? I'm Patricia Mirasol, a multimedia producer at BusinessWorld. In this B-side episode, I speak with Abigail de los Santos Tan, co-founder and managing partner of ARC SME Business Development Company, about SheSecure, a program that aims to address the funding barriers faced by female entrepreneurs. How did your company get involved with SheSecure?
So I think of course, our core product has always been smart capital partner for SMEs, which means beyond the capital that we provide, we also pride ourselves in providing support beyond finance. Over the past 3 years, we've been very mindful of allocating resources towards sustainable themes, one being climate business solutions, and the other one is furthering more gender-smart enterprises. So because of this resource allocation that we would like to do intentionally, we then were fortunate to partner with the Australian government through investing in women to launch a specific product under ARC SME BDC called SheSecure, which primarily targets women-owned and women-led enterprises or small businesses, because we believe that there are specific intricacies with women that needs to be intentionally addressed, so that women also are comfortable to reach out to us through SheSecure.
Well, I was reading a bit about SheSecure, and the description I read said that SheSecure is a funding program that applies a gender lens on the growth capital needs of women-owned businesses in the Philippines. So I have two questions here. For the record, what is a gender lens? And number two, how are the growth capital needs of women-owned businesses different from those that are owned by men?
Oh, thanks. Those are great questions, Patricia. Thanks for that. So to your first question on how do we define gender lens, we define a company gender smart when the company actually embraces specific, intentional criteria towards building better gender equal practices within their companies. So for SheSecure, it's particularly a program that is, with capital allocated to women-owned or women-led enterprises. So we define women-owned as companies with more than 50% women ownership, or women-led are companies whereby their senior or board members have 30% or more female. However, we believe that this program wants to further advocate for gender equal organizations, such that organizations are able to ensure that, for as simple as having basic HR policy on sexual harassment, on making sure that there are no discrimination, and making these not only as a policy that is written but also implemented, as well as cascaded down to the organization. So we look at gender equal from 5 facets. Basically from an ownership facet, from a leadership facet, from essentially their employee facet, from their clients and customer, that's the 4th one, and the last one is essentially from their HR policy perspective. We believe that women-owned and led businesses often face barriers, and some of these barriers that we see are, number 1, limited access to investor network. And this is a bit natural because the unfortunate reality is there is a scarce number of women investors as well. And because of that, naturally, there are gender biases that exist in the investment landscape. So we believe that this is one of the primary barriers. The second barrier, of course, is that the reality is that not all entrepreneurs come from well-off families or prominent families. So they won't necessarily have sufficient collateral for your traditional bank loans. And so many, of course, this one is already not necessarily only to female. We believe that many SMEs struggle with financial literacy, structure on how to structure their business for scalable growth, making it harder for them to secure funding or financing. And we find that women tend to be naturally conservative or more conservative. And so we thought having a specific window such as SheSecure where they can freely come to us and we know where the biases are, so we're able to address it first and foremost so that they get more comfortable using financing and leverage to scale their business.
at the moment, what funding opportunities are available for Filipina startup founders? I mean, apart from She Secure, do you know of any other?
So I think we actually, so Riz and I, the team, basically scouted the market. We definitely see, initiatives from the government. There are government grants, like such as from DTI or DOST. We've also seen some impact-driven venture capital firms. We even actually saw, state-owned banks running Filipina programs for Filipina. However, what we realized is that a lot of these programs have a finite period. That's number one. And number two, more often than not, they really are focused on micro enterprises, which is not wrong. But we believe that there's sufficient capital that supports micro enterprises. That's why for She Secure, we're really focused on, company scaling beyond small. We're very focused on the definition of small because we like to see more bold women come and actually bring their business to greater heights. And for us, we don't touch micro enterprises. We really want to just support women who are ready to scale their business. And we believe that for this particular segment that we focus, Patricia, there's really not a lot of options. That's the unfortunate reality. So for She Secure, we normally would want to, deploy 5 to 30 million pesos. And to be honest, none in the market focus on this sector today because it's too big for them to not have a collateral or from a property collateral perspective, and it's too small then for the foreign to come in and serve this market. So this is the gap that we're trying to solve.
May I ask how your company funds this program? So you give 30 to 50 million pesos to each She Secure beneficiary. So where does the money come in?
We the goal is to provide 5 to 30 million per company. So the funding basically comes from, because we are in partnership with Department of Foreign Affairs in Australia. So investing in women supports this program. Part of the funding comes from that, and part of the funding also comes from family offices, foundations, and endowments that we've partnered with to be able to actually provide a laser focused funding towards women-owned and women-led enterprises.
I just want to share a few figures, and I want to ask if things have changed totally because in 2019, only 3% of invested dollars went to female-only founders, and that's from a 2019 Crunch-based report on gender disparity. And this report also said that when it comes to funding, female-only founded companies raised $6 billion, whereas their male counterparts raised $195 billion. So I wonder how things improved for female founders since then.
Definitely, I think it has improved, but in small increments. To be fair, I think I would like to provide insight to that from a context of demand and supply, right? The reality is demand will always seem like male-owned companies get far greater funding, just primarily because of the fact that we still have a smaller subset of female founders from an ecosystem perspective. So from a demand perspective, the reality is the demand in itself is already skewed. And of course, you add the supply to that, which is definitely, we like to see more women investors have more decision-making position. I know it's not an easy road, but then we like to encourage more female investors to actually rise up so that we can lessen some of the investment biases as well that we see in the system.
So can you share more information about the Filipina founder beneficiaries of She Secure? How were they chosen, and what sort of support do you give them?
Sure. So normally we would actually look for we have objective criterias, and we also of course have soft criterias. In terms of objective criterias, we're really here to provide up to 30 million in financing to women-owned and women-led businesses, again, which is more than 50% in ownership or with more than 30% female in senior or board level. We would like to see these companies at least have a minimum annual run rate of 50 million in revenues or at least 35 million in equity. Again, we're focused on the larger segment of small businesses in the Philippines where we follow SEC definition. In terms of what we provide, of course, apart from the funding of up to 30 million, under She Secure, we're able to provide up to 24 months. So if you look at the market today, most of the funding sources are only able to actually lend up to 9 months or maximum 1 year. So we're able to do longer, up to 24 months. The third is, this program actually is able to provide funding to as low as 1% per month versus where the market is, which is triple or quadruple of that amount. And the fourth is this program provides any business owner with financial incentive. So we provide an interest rebate up to 2% per annum based on the achievement of agreed gender milestones.
So you mentioned you lend money up to 30 million and that you would like to see companies have an annual equity of 35 million. Are we talking about pesos for the record or dollars?
Yes, annual assets actually minimum 35 million in pesos.
I was going to ask if there was a specific type of women-led business that the program seeks to support, but I think that you already answered it. You want a company that is gender sensitive and practices gender equality, and you also look for companies that offer climate solutions, right?
Correct, but that's a separate product that we'll have. For this particular one, we're industry agnostic, so long as they are women-owned, women-led, within the financial metrics. And of course, what's important for us is it's a growing company, and the owners embraces, required changes within the company, such as their financial practices, good financial management, and transparency. I think those are very important for us from a qualification. But sector-wise, we're agnostic, so long as the industry has a strong tailwind. We're generally supportive of the business.
And what are She Secure's plans in the pipeline for the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
So this is actually a 3-year program with the Australian government, but ARC SME BVC will continue even after the program ends technically with the Australian government. So we are actively collaborating, Patricia, with women entrepreneur networks in the Philippines, government agencies, and industry associations to expand this special access of financing to their memberships or to their cohorts. Our goal is to really increase the number of funded women-led businesses and provide more financial education programs to them as they grow sustainably. We're also pleased to be working with some of the impact investors in the Philippines to scale our capital pool towards this gender-focused financing.
What's your top advice for Filipina entrepreneurs that need funding for their business?
Okay. I think I will summarize it in 3 key points, right, Patricia? I think first is any business, to be honest, even if it's women-owned, women-led, or male-owned, I think it's to prepare your business financially. Having a clear financial record and a solid growth plan is one of the key fundamentals that any investors would see or would find. Second is you have to build relationships with your investors or lenders early. Don't wait until you need the funding before you reach out to them, because it also takes time for the investors to do due diligence. And lastly, of course, our advice is you seek smart capital, because beyond just money, you look for investors or financing partners who can provide mentorship, who can provide strategic value to your business. Actually, in the Philippines, there's no problem with micro entrepreneurs. Actually, women dominate that sector. In fact, some of the so we segmented small into 2. The 3 to 15 million in asset, actually female heavy. Pero when you go to 15 to 100 million, suddenly the female ownership drops to 16%. From 51 na, naging 16. And the data is saying that either hindi magaling yung female to scale the business, or because they're just too conservative, or they don't know what funding option to use. And that's our battle cry, to see more women-owned and led business scale beyond small.
And also, when it comes to, the top CEO lists, most of them are guys. Like even the Forbes top 10, it's always, it's only Teresita C. Coswan.
Yeah.
And the rest are
Parang
all guys.
pare-parehas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope we can see a more inclusive Philippines in that context. I mean, Philippines is great. I don't have any complaints on gender equality. We're blessed with that. But we hope to see more female forward and just closing the gap for or narrowing the gap for medium to large enterprise.
There are more funding opportunities available nowadays for women-owned and women-led businesses. However, there are still barriers in the investment landscape. Ms. Tan advises entrepreneurs to prepare their businesses financially, build relationships with investors early, and look for partners who can also provide mentorship. This has been another episode of B-Side. Subscribe now and enjoy industry insights on Philippine business and beyond.